Have you ever paused to consider the profound wisdom that comes from a life fully lived, a life marked not just by years, but by insight, reflection, and a deep understanding of the world? In this story, we step into the life of Mara, an 82-year-old woman whose perspective on the human body, identity, and the richness of human experience offers lessons that can reshape the way you see yourself and others. Mara's reflections are not mere advice. They are an invitation to explore the depth beneath the surface, to appreciate the unseen layers that define each of us, and to cultivate a compassion that transcends appearances. Stay with this story until the end, because the truths you encounter here have the power to transform your perceptions and interactions in ways you may not have imagined. Before we dive in, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, take a moment to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest stories and insights. Your support helps us continue to bring meaningful content to those who seek understanding. And if this video resonates with you, a thumbs up helps us reach more hearts with these messages. I'm also eager to hear your reflections, so leave a comment below, whether it's a thought, a question, or even a critique. Every bit of feedback helps us grow together. Now let us begin. On a warm, radiant afternoon in a quaint village surrounded by rolling fields of wildflowers, Mara, cherished by the entire community for her wisdom and boundless kindness, gathered both children and adults around her. The air was filled with anticipation. Her stories were not just tales, they were vessels carrying deep life lessons, wrapped in wonder and insight. With a gentle smile and a voice that flowed like soft music, Mara began, "Today, my dear ones, I wish to share something often spoken of in whispers, but rarely understood in its full depth. It concerns the beauty and diversity of the human body, and the truth that while our bodies are visible, they represent only a fraction of who we truly are." She paused, letting her gaze drift toward the azure sky, as if drawing strength from its boundless expanse. "So often," Mara continued, "people make the mistake of judging a person solely by their outward appearance, believing that what they see tells the whole story. Let me tell you about Aaliyah, a young woman whose soul shone as brightly as the sun. Aaliyah's smile had the power to lighten even the heaviest hearts, and she was beloved by all in the village. Yet, she became the subject of idle gossip, not because of who she was, but because of the size of her breasts, something that, in the eyes of some, defined her character and morals. Mara's voice softened, tinged with sorrow. "One day, Aaliyah came to me, heart heavy with hurt. She had overheard cruel rumors suggesting that her body somehow dictated her values or her intimacy. She felt reduced, measured by something so shallow, so far removed from the essence of who she truly was." Mara's eyes met each listener, her gaze steady and compassionate. "I took Aaliyah's hands in mine," she said, and told her that people often speak from ignorance and judge from insecurity. What they see is only skin deep. Your body, though part of you, cannot define your spirit, your heart, or your moral strength. It is merely a fragment of the vast, intricate being that is you. Standing slowly, ensuring the gravity of her words sank into every heart present, Mara continued with conviction. "The truth, my beloved friends, is that no single aspect of our physical selves can ever capture the full measure of our essence. Each of us is a complex tapestry, woven from countless threads that extend far beyond the eye's perception. When you meet someone, look beyond what is immediately visible. Remember Aaliyah's story and understand that every person is like a book filled with depth and stories that cannot be read from the cover alone." As Mara's words lingered in the air, the villagers, both young and old, felt a collective awakening. Children nodded with gentle smiles while adults reflected silently, absorbing the magnitude of her lesson. Aaliyah's story was more than a caution against superficial judgment. It was a call to recognize the unseen richness within every individual, a reminder to look beyond the external, to truly understand and value each person's essence. Mara's voice, warm and reassuring, resonated with a love and acceptance that made her message impossible to forget. "Each of you," she said softly, "is a marvel, unique in your own right, inherently valuable, and deserving of understanding and respect." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting its final golden hues across the village, Mara's audience was enveloped in a serene glow of introspection. The campfire crackled gently, filling the evening with warmth and light. It was then that Lena, a young woman of the village, raised her hand with a hesitant, curious voice. "Mara," she asked softly, "how can we start seeing people that way?" "It's so easy to judge what we see first." Mara's eyes softened, her smile inviting and kind, and she beckoned Lena closer. "That," she replied, "is a very important question. The journey to truly seeing others begins with curiosity. Instead of allowing first impressions to harden into judgment, we approach people with openness. We ask about their lives, listen to their stories, and take the time to share meaningful moments." Encouraged by the attentive silence of the villagers, Mara continued, weaving another story into her lesson. "Once a traveler arrived in our village, dressed in unfamiliar clothes and speaking with an accent that made him seem otherworldly. Many whispered and speculated. Some even feared him, thinking he might bring trouble. But Aaliyah, remembering what she had learned, approached him with kindness and curiosity. She offered him a meal and asked about his journey. As they shared conversation and hospitality, they learned from each other. He spoke of distant lands and incredible adventures. She shared the values and stories of our village. In that simple act of openness, suspicion melted away, replaced by mutual respect and friendship. The villagers leaned closer, captivated by the story's lesson. Mara's words underscored a vital truth. Human connection and understanding require effort, patience, and courage. True empathy arises not from the surface, but from the willingness to explore the depth of another person's life, to honor the complexities hidden behind appearances. Aaliyah's kindness and curiosity transformed what could have been fear into a bridge of understanding, showing that when we choose openness over judgment, we invite connection and wisdom into our lives. Under the starlit sky, the villagers felt the subtle yet profound shift in their hearts. They understood that each person they meet carries within them a universe of stories, experiences, and dreams, waiting to be discovered with patience, respect, and compassion. As night deepened over the village, the campfire crackled softly, sending sparks into the cool, starlit sky, and the gentle hum of nocturnal life blended seamlessly with the warmth of Mara's wisdom, which seemed to settle like a soft blanket over the gathering. The villagers, their faces illuminated by the flickering firelight, felt a collective stirring within their hearts, a sense that something profound had shifted. Mara's words, steeped in decades of lived experience and reflection, were no longer just teachings. They had become living truths that took root in the minds and spirits of those listening. In the stillness of the evening, the villagers began to recognize a subtle but transformative understanding that every person they encounter, no matter how familiar or seemingly ordinary, carries within them a depth and complexity that cannot be measured, reduced, or defined by mere appearances. Mara's voice, soft yet steady, continued to weave through the night air like a gentle current, guiding them deeper into contemplation. She spoke of the infinite layers that make up a human being, how the heart, the mind, and the soul interact in ways both visible and invisible, and how the richness of a person's inner world often contrasts sharply with the shallow judgments cast upon them by others. Her narrative was rich with examples and reflections, each one more immersive than the last, painting vivid pictures of lives that had been misunderstood, underestimated, or misjudged by society at large. The villagers felt as though they were walking alongside Mara through these stories, stepping into the shoes of those who had been unfairly labeled, hearing the unspoken pain, and witnessing the quiet resilience that often accompanies those who are seen only through superficial lenses. She reminded them that empathy is not a passive feeling, but an active choice, a deliberate effort to see the world through the eyes of others, to seek understanding before forming opinion, and to listen with the intent to truly comprehend rather than to respond. The night stretched on, and Mara's tales carried a rhythm that mirrored the natural cadence of life itself, sometimes gentle and soothing, sometimes stirring and challenging, always reflective of the beauty and unpredictability of human experience. She spoke of Aaliyah's continued journey, how her courage and openness had not only transformed her own life, but had quietly begun to reshape the village itself, fostering a community where curiosity, kindness, and respect became guiding principles. Mara described how acts of empathy, no matter how small, ripple outward, influencing others in ways that are often unseen but deeply felt, creating a culture in which trust and connection flourish. The villagers were captivated, imagining themselves as part of this unfolding tapestry, seeing their neighbors not as mere acquaintances or passing faces, but as intricate beings with histories, dreams, and struggles that demand acknowledgement and reverence. Mara's storytelling was immersive, each detail painted with a care that made the scenes come alive in the mind's eye. The warmth of shared meals, the gentle gestures of understanding, the quiet smiles that signaled unspoken bonds, and the transformative power of dialogue that bridges perceived differences. She encouraged the villagers to reflect on their own interactions, challenging them to recall moments when they had rushed to judgment, when they had overlooked the deeper truths of those around them, and to consider how their lives and the lives of others might have been enriched had they chosen curiosity and compassion instead. As Mara spoke, the flickering light of the fire danced across the faces of her listeners, illuminating not only their expressions, but also the gradual emergence of self-awareness and empathy in their eyes. They could sense that this wisdom was not just theoretical, it was practical, applicable to the way they moved through the world each day, shaping their choices, words, and deeds. Mara's narrative flowed seamlessly from stories of individual courage to broader reflections on human interconnectedness, drawing connections between personal growth and communal harmony. She spoke of the ways in which prejudice, often born from ignorance or fear, can isolate communities and fracture relationships, and how intentional acts of understanding, no matter how small, can repair those fractures and create bonds that endure across time and circumstance. Every example she offered, from Aaliyah's gentle interactions with the traveler to the shared meals and conversations that blossomed into mutual respect, served to reinforce a central truth, that to truly value others, one must be willing to engage with them beyond the surface, to acknowledge their inherent worth, and to celebrate the unique tapestry of experiences that each individual carries within. The villagers felt a quiet awakening, a realization that the work of seeing and valuing others is both lifelong and profoundly rewarding. Mara reminded them that it is easy to be distracted by the superficial, by appearances, rumors, or fleeting impressions. But the true measure of a person, and indeed of a community, is found in the depth of understanding and compassion that people extend to one another. She spoke eloquently about the delicate balance between observing and interpreting, cautioning them to resist the temptation to define others by partial glimpses of their lives, and instead to cultivate patience, openness, and a genuine desire to know the stories that lie beneath the surface. Her words were imbued with a gentle insistence that every interaction, every choice to approach someone with respect and curiosity is a seed planted in the soil of human connection, a seed that, with care and attention, can grow into trust, understanding, and shared joy. The villagers, enveloped by the night and the warmth of the fire, began to feel the weight of responsibility mingled with the beauty of opportunity. The responsibility to act with awareness and empathy, and the opportunity to foster deeper, more meaningful relationships. Mara's teachings resonated with both young and old alike, bridging generations through their universality and timelessness. She spoke of how communities flourish when individuals see one another fully, when they embrace the full complexity of their neighbors, and when they allow understanding and compassion to guide their interactions rather than fear or assumption. The stories she told were layered with lessons about resilience, humility, and the quiet power of listening, each one building upon the last to create a tapestry of moral insight and emotional richness that enveloped the listeners completely. As the night sky deepened into a velvet expanse, dotted with countless stars, Mara drew her audience to a moment of reflection, encouraging them to internalize the principles they had heard, to recognize the hidden treasures within every person, to nurture patience in judgment, to listen deeply, and to act with intentional kindness. She spoke of the universe within each human being, vast and intricate, full of stories, dreams, and challenges, each deserving of respect and attentive consideration. The villagers, moved and inspired, silently vowed to carry this wisdom into their daily lives, to let Mara's guidance shape not just their thoughts, but their actions and relationships. They understood that the teachings of the night were not fleeting. They were enduring principles meant to guide their interactions, to foster empathy, to cultivate understanding, and to remind them that the world and the people in it is infinitely richer than appearances suggest. As the fire dwindled and the first hints of dawn began to touch the horizon, the village felt transformed, quietly yet profoundly. Conversations that once would have been superficial now carried curiosity and care. Interactions that might have been judgmental now bore patience and openness. The lessons Mara shared, illustrated through Aaliyah's courage, the traveler's story, and countless reflections, had planted seeds that would grow over a lifetime. And in that collective awakening, the villagers glimpsed the true beauty of human connection, a world in which understanding, empathy, and respect form the foundation of community, where each person is honored not for what is seen at first glance, but for the boundless complexity, depth, and uniqueness they embody. With hearts full and spirits awakened, they left the gathering that night not only with memories of stories told, but with the quiet, transformative knowledge that every encounter is an opportunity to see, to learn, and to connect, fully and deeply with the remarkable universes that exist within each person around them. And so, under the glow of fading stars and the gentle promise of a new day, Mara's wisdom became a living, breathing force in the village, a guiding light reminding them always to look beyond the surface, to cherish the hidden depths, and to approach every human being with curiosity, respect, and love. This is the enduring legacy of her teachings, a reminder that the journey toward understanding and empathy is ongoing, infinite, and deeply rewarding, and that by embracing it, each person can create ripples of compassion and insight that transform not only themselves, but the entire world around them.